This is the Gerry Callahan Show.
Man, what a night. What a morning. Things are happening fast and furiously. Things are happening at Trump speed. If you're just waking up, just tuning in, just logging on, lots going on here. Trump signed an executive order to defund PBS and NPR. Yes, it's finally happening after 40 years of Republicans teasing me and talking and tweeting and issuing statements about defunding the far left taxpayer subsidized public broadcasting system and national public radio. It may finally and at last be happening. That's not all. Trump's also signing an order to revoke the tax exempt status for Harvard University. Yes, I love this. If it happens, means lots of revenue, and it means that Harvard will no longer be enjoying tax-exempt status for their $53 billion endowment. We're going to get to that. We're going to get to the latest jobs report. It's really good. The stock market is way up this morning. Yes, good things happening at Trump speed. But I want to start with the thing that bugs me the most. Yes, it drives me crazy. There's lots of things I don't understand that just baffle me on the American political scene. Obviously, I ask these questions every day. Who votes for Liz Warren? How could you vote for Liz Warren? How could you vote for Ilhan Omar or Ayanna Pressley? Who wants illegal alien gangbangers in their neighborhood? Who wants their elected officials to protect illegal alien criminals and make their neighborhoods more dangerous? These are questions that I ask every day, and I never get a good answer. Who votes for that weirdo from Michigan, Cherie Thanadar, that guy who tortured, killed beagles, the guy who wants to impeach Trump because, Trump has ignored the Supreme Court. Well, he didn't kill beagles. You did, you weirdo. But enough of him. He's kind of failed, and he's become a laughingstock, an absolute clown. But the thing that just blows my mind is this notion that Elon Musk is a bad guy. The DOGE, they're the bad guys. It has been an organized campaign by the Democrats and the mainstream media. And on this, I have to give them credit. It has worked. The media has lost much of its influence in the last 5 to 10 years. Their ratings have plummeted. They just don't have the credibility they once did. They don't have the influence over the American public, and certainly the Democrats are not popular. Their approval rating, as we've mentioned, is in the 20s. They are struggling to recover, and that's a good thing. But somehow they have managed to make Musk and his DOGE team bad guys. And I genuinely do not understand this. Maybe someone on the comment line can answer it for me. We're going to get to the comments and questions today. We're going to do that every Friday, so send them in. Ironhead is going over them as we speak. He'll put a bunch of them up there for me, and we'll get to it later in the show. But I see this every day, and again, it's working. The polls say people don't like DOGE. Why? What are they doing that bothers you? They are discovering vast waste, fraud, and abuse and crimes. They're exposing crimes. They're exposing theft from you, the American taxpayer. Theft that has been going on for years. They have been stealing billions of dollars from you. NGOs, nonprofits, well-connected Democrats have gotten fabulously wealthy from you, the taxpayer, stealing from you. And somehow more than half of the public disapproves of Elon Musk. This is from Politico just this week. Says DOGE and Musk have a approval problem. 40% of respondents to a poll from the Center Square said DOGE is cutting too much. An ABC News poll last month said Musk's favorability rating is 39%. DOGE's is 41%. A Fox News poll last month, Musk's favorability rating is 40%. A January AP poll found that 29% of respondents approved of DOGE and 36% had a favorable opinion of Musk. Those are dreadful numbers. And I don't understand it. I don't get it. What are they doing other than exposing waste, fraud, corruption, and theft? I know Democrats have lied over and over again. Liz Warren does it every day. You hear Schumer, Jeffries, all of them. You hear the mainstream media and all the clowns on MSNBC and CNN tell you, oh, they're cutting too much. What do you mean? They're not cutting Social Security. They're not cutting Medicare. Those are lies. What they're doing is volunteering, putting their lives on hold, working 16, 18-hour days to uncover this massive corruption. That's a fact. All right. That is indisputable. Last night, Fox News had a roundtable. They actually sat in on a DOGE meeting. The DOGE team has a meeting every night at 10 o'clock when they're still working. These guys, as one of them explained, they work from 6 a.m. till 2 a.m. some days. They don't sleep. They some of them are billionaires. They have companies. They have lives. One kid who talked, and we'll get to him, he's a Harvard student. He dropped out of school to save his country. That's what he did. He's a brilliant Harvard student, an engineer, a computer scientist. And he said on campus, he's hated. So he puts his life on hold, moves to DC, puts in 16, 18-hour days trying to uncover, trying to expose, trying to fix the federal government. And he's despised. I genuinely am just baffled by this. This kid's a hero. These guys are all heroes. They are heroes, American heroes, doing incredible work. And it was just, once again, eye-opening. I like this. They should put these kids on camera a lot. It is great to see them at work and listen to what they're doing. And as I've been saying for months now, this is a much bigger scandal than we think. We have gone over all the wasteful projects and agencies, and we've talked, laughed about Sesame Street in Iraq and a trans opera in Ecuador and condoms for Gaza and transgender surgeries in Lesotho, all these ridiculous programs, which obviously the taxpayers shouldn't be paying for. But it's a much bigger scandal because we're not paying for trans operas in Ecuador or Sesame Street in Iraq. Hell, the Sesame Street in Iraq program cost $20 million. Does anyone think it cost $20 million to make a Sesame Street show in Iraq? Of course not. And we have no evidence that they actually did it. Does anyone seen a video of Sesame Street in Iraq? Of course not. Because these aren't real programs. That's the scandal. That's what the media won't tell you. You won't hear Liz Warren talk about that. These aren't real things. These are fronts. These are scams. These are ways to take your money under the guise of doing some social justice program or help, saving lives and sick kids in the Sudan. But they're not doing that. They're stealing from you. We are learning that every day from DOGE, which is obviously very transparent. They post what they're doing. They tweet what they're doing. And they're showing you how these crooks have been stealing from you. And the media hates it. And the Democrats hate it. I understand why the Democrats hate it, because they're involved. They're involved. Hopefully, these guys continue to power through this and expose more and more of this. And eventually, please, God, tell me someone will get arrested. These are real serious crimes. We have to see arrests. They said last night they have referred some of these issues to the DOJ, to Pam Bondi. Okay, so someone stole millions. Why are they not arrested? When are we going to see arrests and justice and accountability? I understand a large part of their job is upgrading and modernizing the systems. They talked about that, how antiquated all the computer systems are, how they're using a mine in Pennsylvania to store all the retirement documents from federal workers. It's laughable. That's a big job. That's a tough job. Again, these guys should be commended for doing real, arduous, difficult work. But they're showing you how people have stolen from you for years and not petty cash. A city councilor in Boston is going to prison, we think, for stealing $7,000, taking a bribe. Another state senator, Diane Wilkerson, she went to prison for stuffing $1,000 into her bra. That's bad. She belongs in prison. We are talking about billions and billions. One of the DOGE guys said there was a COVID fund at the Department of Education, $4 billion. Did they kick it back to the Treasury? Did they spend it on education? No, they had big parties. They rented out Caesar's Palace. They lived like kings on you. And they're the bad guys? How are they the bad guys? Go back to the first one. I want to get to this kid, because this kid is amazing. I don't even have his name. We didn't get all their names. He's the Harvard kid. He's like 20 years old. He's brilliant. He said he wants to volunteer to help save this country from this debt spiral, from all this massive corruption. Again, put his life on hold, moved to DC, works day and night. And they hate him on the Harvard campus. His friends, colleagues, peers, whatever, they despise him for this. Why isn't this a bigger deal? Why am I the only one screaming about it? But listen to this. This is the key. It isn't going to Lesotho or Ecuador or Iraq. It is going to DC. It's staying in DC because they're stealing it. Check this out.
I think the Inter-American Foundation, IAF, is one of the agencies we visited where, they get $50 million a year, congressional money, to give grants. These are things like, alpaca farming in Peru, improving
that's a real example.
Yes, that's the real description. Improving the marketability of peas in Guatemala.
Really?
Fruit jam. Yes.
What? Yeah.
So you might expect, in the private sector, a nonprofit to give, 80 to 90% of their money to grantees. In the case of IAF, that was 58%. So the other half goes towards management, travel.
What we're defining exactly, to Ethan's example is that even if you agreed with supporting alpaca farmers in Peru, actually, most of the money never made it out of DC. Mm-hmm. It's going into the pockets of people in the neighborhood.
What percentage
didn't even get to Peru?
Right. So what percentage do you think doesn't even get to the destination it's supposed to?
I believe the GAO estimates, this is not our estimate, I believe it was on the order of only 10 to 15 cents on the dollar actually gets to the end recipient, whether you agree with that cause or not.
So they're just stealing the money before it even gets anywhere.
There's layers of stealing. So there's the first layer of stealing, second layer of stealing, third layer of stealing.
Subcontractor.
Peeling the onion. Yeah, exactly. Contractor, subcontractor. It's like peeling an onion. And then maybe, and sometimes it's zero. Just flat, you get to the bottom of the onion, there's nothing there.
So maybe no one got a sex change in Guatemala.
It's possible that no one got a sex change in Guatemala.
No one got a sex change in Guatemala because that wasn't really what the money was meant for. And Musk goes on to say it's staying in DC. So millions, billions of dollars is not leaving DC. It's just being moved around. It's being stolen by well-connected Democrats and NGOs. That's what's happening in our nation's capital now. And it's something we should all applaud. Why wouldn't you? Unless you're one of the crooks or unless you're a moron, which to me, those are the two kinds of people. There's two categories of people who are upset about this. Crooks Democrats, NGOs, well-connected people in DC, and morons who've been told that Musk is stealing from Social Security, or Musk is stealing your data and selling it to China, or some other insane conspiracy theory. That's not what's happening. These guys are literally showing you where your money's going, and it's not going to good places. It's being stolen. And they have a 36% approval rating. Why would you disapprove of what they're doing? Why? What? Because Liz Warren told you that they're stealing your Social Security and your Medicare? It's not true. This is the biggest scandal we have ever seen. I know we say that a lot. I know the cover-up of Biden's dementia was big. I know the laptop was big. We've seen a lot of scandals from Democrats in the last 5 years. This is something on a whole other level. We're talking about billions and billions. And again, it's not going to balance the budget. They're not going to recover. They're probably not going to get to $2 trillion, which they said they were hoping to reach. They're at $160 billion. And they're being mocked by Democrats and people in the media saying, oh, they're not going to get to $2 trillion. So what? You don't care that they're finding $160 billion so far that's been stolen from you? Get the other. I mean, these guys, one after another, are so impressive. We're so used to just morons listening to, these hacks in DC and these idiots like Ilhan Omar and Sheree Thanador and morons in the media. These guys are brilliant. All right. They're brilliant engineers and computer scientists, and they're digging and they're tireless. They're working their asses off to expose this. We should all be saluting them every day. These are heroes. These are guys this is something that we've never had in the history of this country. We've never had people to volunteer to root out all the corruption, which we've known has been there. We know it's there. We know there's crooks. We know there's theft. And now they're shining the light on it. And it's just amazing. Listen to this. The Department of Education, that Democrats are fighting tooth and nail to save the Department of Education. They are stealing from you. They are stealing billions from you. They're not teachers. They're not educators. They're crooks, or they're bureaucrats that aren't really doing anything and making big salaries and big pensions, great benefits. They should eliminate this today. Check this out.
So actually, a lot of great work at the Treasury this week. One of the crazy things with regards to the Treasury is that when a payment is made, and the computers at the Treasury actually pay about $5 trillion per year, like crazy amounts, there was formerly not a budget code on there. So if a payment was made, you didn't know actually what it was for. It could have been for anything. Yeah. There was a $4 billion COVID fund in the Department of Education, and there was no receipts required. So people could just draw down on it. And when people looked into it, this wasn't us, this was before us, they found that money was being used to rent out Caesar's Palace for parties, rent out stadiums, et cetera. And so the one change that DOGE made with the Department of Education is we had the simple requirement that if you draw down money, you must first upload a receipt. That was the only change that was made. You must upload your receipt. And upon doing so, yes, nobody drew down any money anymore.
Yes, but we didn't say that we'd check the receipt. You could send a fake receipt. You could send a picture of your dog. Anything. And but as soon as we asked for anything at all, suddenly the requests were like, oh, we don't need it anymore. Huh, that's interesting.
They were renting Caesar's Palace.
Yes, they were like basically partying on the taxpayer money.
Stadiums.
Yes.
Leasing stadiums. For what?
For parties, basically.
For parties.
Yes.
That's a big party.
It's a big party.
You'd think if you were stealing, you'd start small.
They do start small. But then what happens is over the years, so generally the fraud starts out small and they try to hide it. But then year after year, if nobody stops the fraud, it gets more and more brazen. And every year it gets bigger. until they're literally renting out stadiums. Like
What's that, $1 million to rent out a stadium?
Fraud infragrante delicto. Okay, we're talking at scale.
So they just explained to you the whole scam. There's no receipts required. So they have, he said in the Treasury, they're sending out payments of $5 trillion with no receipts required. He mentions a COVID fund at the Department of Education, $4 billion, for COVID, and no receipts required. They find they're spending it to rent out Caesar's Palace and football stadiums for parties. And when they demand, just tell us where the money's going. Just tell us what you're spending it on. The spending stops. So they stop making these payments when they tell them you have to explain where the money's going, and it just stops. Okay, I watched this whole thing. It is maddening. It is infuriating. And again, the most infuriating part is everyone's not infuriated. Why are so many people trying to stop? Not just trying to stop Musk. They want to kill him. He gets death threats every day. I was at a protest where they had his head on a stick. They want him dead for doing this heroic work in D.C. Hell, they want him out. And he's going to leave soon. He'll remain part-time, apparently. But these guys, these bulldogs are going to stay and continue to expose this crime, this corruption. And it's only going to matter. It's only going to work if they start arresting people. We need to know who spent our money on a party at Caesar's Palace, COVID money on a party at Caesar's Palace. I used to think everybody was offended, upset about corruption in the federal government. Apparently, only about 36% of us are upset about this. Apparently, most of the country wants it to continue, which is just bizarre to me. What are people thinking? Again, watch this, listen to these guys. They are just amazing. This is what we needed. This is what we've needed for decades. We finally got it. We finally have some accountability, some ray of sunshine on these scams, and people don't want to hear it. Just remarkable. And you're going to hear today, you'll hear from Liz Warren and others saying, oh, he's the bad guy. He's stealing from me. No, he's catching the people stealing. They're mad, not at the theft, but the guy who's stopping the theft. Just is such a strange dynamic in this country right now. This should be 100% approval rating for Elon Musk and DOGE. Everyone should be wearing a hat like this. These guys are heroes, absolute heroes, and we should hear more from them. Every time they do an interview or go on TV, it becomes even more encouraging that we have a whole team of people willing to do this. These are the best and the brightest, and they are doing God's work. Let's hope they continue. No more parties at Caesar's Palace for the Department of Education. Just tear that building down and send all these crooks running, scurrying like the rats they are. All right. We got so much to get to on this Friday. What a wild day. We're going to get to Trump's orders. God, this was just a wonderful flurry of executive orders from Trump last night. If you missed it all late night, I think they were into the early hours of the morning. He gave a great graduation speech commencement speech at the University of Alabama, and he kind of sent out a warning shot to Harvard last night when he was at Alabama, and then he followed through an executive order. And we have the latest on the Maryland dad. I have to say, this could be the single dumbest political decision a party has ever made. Democrats rallying around Kilmar Abrego Garcia. I'm not sure when they're going to give it up. They haven't given it up yet. I guess we're going to have to find bodies in his basement. Is that what we're going to have to learn? That he's a mass murderer? Because he is just absolute scum. He is a vile, brutal, gang-banging, human trafficking piece of garbage. And they just can't quit him. We'll get to that and more, but first.
Excuse me.
Listen up, Ironhead. This is important. This is for you because I know sometimes late at night you go into incognito mode, when you're looking for love. But did you know that incognito mode is not enough to hide your browsing history? Check the fine print, pal. All your online activity is still 100% visible to a ton of third parties unless you use ExpressVPN. Without ExpressVPN, these third parties can still see every website you visit, even in incognito mode. They can see your internet service provider, your mobile network provider, the admins of your Wi-Fi network, like your school, your boss, your parents. ExpressVPN reroutes 100% of your traffic through secure encrypted servers so third parties can't see your browsing history. ExpressVPN hides your IP address, making it extremely difficult for third parties to track your online activity. It's easy to use. That's important to me. Fire up the app and click one button to get protected. And it works on all devices, phones, laptops, tablets, and more, so you can stay private on the go. Even if you're not watching porn, you want your data protected. You want your text protected. You don't want to take any chances. Protect your online privacy today by visiting expressvpn.com/Gerry. That's EXPRESSVPN.com/Gerry. And you can get an extra 4 months free. expressvpn.com/Gerry. It wasn't enough for Democrats to abandon Kilmar Abrego Garcia when we found out he was a MS-13 gangbanger with MS-13 code tattooed on his fingers. It wasn't enough when we learned that he was an illegal alien. He was a human trafficker. He was a wife beater. He was a absolute piece of human filth. That wasn't enough. They still made the trek to El Salvador. One senator had margaritas with him. 4 Congress people went there, stayed in a luxury hotel, and demanded his release. Demanded an El Salvadorian gangbanger be returned to the United States. So while Trump and Tom Homan and the Trump administration is trying to remove the worst of the worst public safety threats from your neighborhood and make your neighborhood safer, your elected Democrats are doing everything in their power to return those public safety threats to your neighborhood. That's what Mayor Wu wants in Boston. That's what every Democrat in the Senate and Congress, that's what they want. That's what Van Hollen wants. He wants a violent, wife-beating human trafficker back in Maryland to live happily ever after with someone else's kids and the woman that he beat. So yesterday we got. I'm curious what tomorrow will bring. What are we going to find out tomorrow about this monster? Yesterday, USA Today got a hold of the audio from Jennifer Vasquez Sura, the wife of Kilmar Abrego Garcia. Now, you may remember she was tearfully calling for his return and saying that he's a loving father and he was snatched and kidnapped and she wants him back. I don't think she really wants him back. I'm just going to say, when you listen to this, you will understand this is a battered woman. She lives in fear of him. She actually says on this tape that he would wake up at 3 a.m. and just beat her. He is evil, pure evil. This is Jennifer Vasquez Sura in court talking about life with Kilmar, a life of hell living with this monster. Let's listen.
I came to fill out a protective order. I think it was in December. But I didn't show up to the court because his family washed my brain telling me that his dad was sick and not to do it. So I didn't do anything. But after that, it was I would call the police. I have a lot of police reports, and I kept trying to get to the door basement to try to open the door, and then he pushed me. So then when I was able to go outside to get a phone, I called 911 from a disconnected phone. Now they took a long time to get to the house. It was probably 20-30 minutes. So I saw a neighbor walking his dog, and I opened the door and I was like, help. And then when he heard me, he grabbed me from my hair and then he slapped me. And then the neighbor, he didn't know what to do. He didn't know what to react. I have pictures of the evidence, like all the bruises, because it's not, even on Wednesday, he hit me like around like 3 a.m. He would just wake up and like hit me. And then last Saturday for my daughter's birthday party, before I went to my daughter's birthday party, he slapped me 3 times. And then last week I did call the police. My sister called the police because he hit me in front of my sister.
There's your boy, Ben Holland. There's your boy, Liz Warren. There you go, Ed Markey. There you go, Hakeem Jeffries, Chuck Schumer. You want him back? Still? You want him back in Maryland? It's never going to happen. Again, I think Tom Homan, Stephen Miller, Trump administration knew all about this, and they knew these idiots in the Democrat Party and the mainstream media would just walk right into this trap, and they did. And one day, every day, we're learning more about him. This is who they defend. This is who they support, not the woman who got her ass kicked by this creature over and over again. Here's a statement she's just sent to Newsweek. Vasquez Sura writes, after the trauma of his time in ICE detention and the struggles we faced during the pandemic, I sought a temporary protective order, but through counseling and faith, Kilmar and I healed, reunited as a stronger couple, and now our family needs him home. Sure you do, lady. That's just classic domestic abuse that they said, don't get the protective order, don't go to court. His father's sick. And then his sister, her sister, has to call the cops because she's taken another beating. This is why we voted for Trump, to get people like this out of our country. Biden let them in. Trump's getting them out. And Democrats and their rogue judges and the media want them back. Absolute madness. We got more. Fox came out last night with the body cam footage, dash cam footage also, I believe, from the Tennessee State Troopers who pulled Kilmar Abrego Garcia, you know, that hardworking Maryland father, union member. He had a side gig, apparently, human trafficking. Here it is, the stop. And all you need to know, we're going to go to the real scandal about this incident. But watch the video as the troopers pull him over, and they realize this is human trafficking. 8 people in his car, no luggage, no one could speak English except him. No one had a driver's license, and he succeeds in talking his way out of it. But we'll tell you why after we watch. Go ahead.
How dark are your windows? Huh? How dark's the back windows? Window? Stand by. How dark are they?
The color.
Yeah.
From Texas is good.
How many rows have you got in here? 4?
Where?
4 seats? 4 rows of seats?
Yeah, it's three seats. Yeah, with it. Yeah.
Did y'all put an extra one in?
Huh?
Did y'all put another one in?
No.
They come like this?
This is the truck.
I've never seen one with that many seats in it.
The year one. What you say? He's my boss.
I said I've never seen one with that many seats.
Oh,
in it.
really?
Yeah. That's why I was asking if you put an extra one in.
No, it's the same. Like this.
Okay.
You know what you got here, right? He's hauling these people for money is what he's doing. But sometimes they commingle dope.
No, but
There's 8 people in there.
Yeah, I know. I didn't know that. They put an extra.
You know what you got here. He's hauling people for money, says the trooper. And then they questioned him for a while, and he said he was from St. Louis, Missouri, which is weird because he was heading to Maryland and bringing 8 people, none of whom could speak English, 8 illegal aliens. So here's the big story, which is somehow being overlooked. They called it in and they were told by the Biden FBI to let them go. 8 illegal aliens in one vehicle being trafficked from Texas to Maryland. And they were told by the feds to let them go. That was the policy for 4 years. That's why we have 15, 20 million illegal aliens. That's how they did it. Hey, we got 8 illegal aliens in one vehicle being trafficked. That's all right. Let them go. That's the word from the federal government. Just let them go. Human trafficking, and the cop knew it, and everyone knew it, and it's in the police report. And he said he was driving his boss's car. His boss was a convicted human trafficker. So today, you'll see a Democrat come out and say, we must get Kilmar home. He must be back with his family. I've never seen an issue that is worse for one political party than the embracing of Kilmar Abrego Garcia, gang member, human trafficker, wife beater. And they're doing everything in their power still to get him back because he didn't have due process. Yes, he did. He went to immigration court and they ordered him deported twice. That's due process. But you guys stick to your guns. Let's do Ilhan Omar, another bright light in the Democrat Party, perhaps the most despicable elected official in D.C. now. Just an absolute vile human being. Ilhan Omar, elected representative from Minnesota, Somalia, actually. She was asked if Democrats should continue to fly to El Salvador to attempt to secure the release of that Maryland dad. And a perfectly reasonable, normal question. I mean, it's kind of a big issue, and she's one you would expect to encourage further effort to bring him home, but she doesn't like the question. You know, she's a Democrat. She's used to being coddled, protected by the media, and here's a kid from the Daily Caller who asks her, again, a perfectly appropriate question. Let's watch how she handles it.
Congresswoman Omar, I'm Miles Morrell with the Daily Caller News Foundation. Do you think more of your Democratic colleagues should be traveling to El Salvador to advocate on behalf of Abrego Garcia?
I think you should fuck off. Yeah, that's
I'm sorry, what, Congresswoman?
Fuck off.
Who should?
You.
Why me?
We're not taking any questions right now, but here you go.
Yeah, thanks.
Should you continue to go to El Salvador? Big deal. Good question. And her answer is F off. And the reporter handled it perfectly. Who should? Me? Why? And they say, we're not doing interviews right now. She is such a despicable person. When you think about this woman, she was saved by the United States. She was taken out of a refugee camp in Kenya after her family fled Somalia. And her father, by the way, worked for a genocidal, was a colonel in the military, working for a force that was committing genocide. So he is a war criminal. But we took her in. She came to this country, and this country has given her everything: an education, health care, and then elected her to Congress. And her loyalties remain with Somalia, that lawless hellhole. I just watched a documentary on Black Hawk Down, by the way. And it's amazing that we should have never been there, but we lost. Obviously, we lost.
You one on Netflix? Is that the one you're talking about?
Yes, it's excellent.
Excellent. It was so good.
I mean, and you think of it. She hates this country. The people who tried to save her people, feed her people. She comes here, gets elected, and she flat out says her loyalties remain with Somalia. And she does rallies or events where she just speaks Somalian. She doesn't even speak English. And everything she does is Somalia first. That's the way she looks at it. Just a completely despicable. And we know she committed immigration fraud. She married her brother. That's pretty well documented. And she doesn't face charges. No one's trying to remove her from Congress and deport her. We should. We saved her ass. We saved her and gave her everything. And she turns around and spits in our face. Just a truly despicable. She would be the one. I have to admit, I got some pretty bad elected representatives in Massachusetts, she's worse. She truly is worse. She hates this country. She really does. And she somehow remains loyal to Somalia, that just a lawless shithole, despicable human being. But all right, well, justice may be coming. We got to get to these executive orders and Tom Homan. Let's do Tom Homan. God, I love Tom Homan. He's my favorite. I love him. America's heartthrob was asked yesterday if people who are obstructing ICE, there it is. Ironhead, it's getting a little old. Ironhead made a lasagna for Homan because we thought he was coming a couple of weeks ago.
I do make a new one every few days.
Oh, you do good. And you're going to make him some brownies too, because I bet he loves lasagna and brownies. But Homan has been doing a great job. I believe they've deported 140,000. And by the way, Florida is doing a spectacular job. They rounded up 1,100 illegal aliens, most of them hardened criminals, and are shipping them the hell out of the country. That's what we voted for. That's what we want. And we're doing it. At least they're doing their best, fighting Democrats, fighting judges, trying to make this country safer. We are waiting, though, for some elected official to get arrested. We're waiting for one of these Democrats who are obstructing ICE, who are helping criminal illegal aliens hide from ICE. We know they're doing it. We know they're fighting this effort at every turn. And we're hoping he starts in Boston, but it sounds like it's coming. Here he is yesterday being asked when one of these people who are obstructing ICE is going to be brought to justice. Go ahead.
So the president signed an executive order just this week threatening to defund sanctuary cities for their policies. Why not just arrest the leaders who are harboring and shielding illegal aliens, actually terrorists, from deportation?
Wait to see what's coming.
Wait till you see what's coming. Oh, you're teasing me again, Tom. I'm aroused. Let's wait till you see what's coming. That sure sounds like we're going to see an elected Democrat in handcuffs. Now, it might be Brandon Johnson. It might be one of those Colorado nuts who are always telling you, or Minnesota, could be Minnesota, where their mayor is determined to protect illegal aliens. Maybe it's California, maybe it's LA, where the entire legislature is determined to protect illegal alien criminals. But I am hoping it's Mayor Wu in Boston or Governor Healy in Boston and Massachusetts, who are devoting their lives to protecting illegal alien criminals, murderers, rapists, drug dealers, the worst of the worst. They're not done rounding up the worst of the worst. But as we see with Kilmar, Democrats are determined to protect them. So we're here, Tom, and we are here to cheer you. We love you, Tom. Keep going, man. I hope ICE is working as hard as DOGE. I hope they're going 6 a.m. to 2 a.m. and just not stopping till we get these people out. Well,
I will say this to DOGE, though. If there is footage of Iraqi Sesame Street, I really want to see it.
Well, don't you think you would have seen it, or some of the efforts, whether it's, the sex change clinic in India or the Gaza, the condoms for you see none of it. I don't think they're actual things. That's why I think the next step, the next phase of this effort to uncover all these scandals is these things didn't happen. There was no money for alpaca farming in Peru. They just put things they thought sounded benign, on the little note, said, yeah, we're going to send 20 million to Iraq for Sesame Street. And people say, oh, so that sounds nice. And they would just move on. I think we're going to find out they're all just dummy programs. They don't exist. The money didn't go there, especially when they said, it's for childcare or vaccines for children in the Sudan. You say, oh, that's nice. We're saving lives. They weren't saving lives. They were stealing it. But I'm repeating myself. But speaking of Sesame Street, God, I love this. I have been waiting, I'm going to say 40 years. As I've mentioned before, Ronald Reagan talked about defunding PBS and NPR. Every Republican since has talked and issued statements, strongly worded letters, tweets about defunding NPR and PBS. It's finally happening. Yes, it is finally happening. Donald Trump last night issued an executive order. He had a couple of beauties. We're going to get to the Harvard the Harvard one also, but this is from NBC News. Donald Trump signed an executive order late Thursday night to end public funding of National Public Radio and PBS to stop what he called biased and partisan coverage. The order directs the Corporation for Public Broadcasting to, quote, cease federal funding for NPR and PBS to the extent allowed by law. The order will be challenged in court, of course. The White House said in a statement today that both organizations have received, quote, tens of millions of dollars in taxpayer funds each year to spread radical, woke propaganda disguised as news. Unlike in 1967 when the CFCPB was established, today the media landscape is filled with abundant, diverse, and innovative news options. The order reads, government funding of news media in this environment is not only outdated and unnecessary, but corrosive to the appearance of journalistic independence. Amen. A-bleepin' men. This has driven me crazy for decades. Why? Why should they get a nickel of taxpayer money? As I've mentioned before, this radio station I used to work at was next to an NPR studio, which was palatial. They live like kings. They have amazing studios and offices. Why? We know they're far left. We know that we've gone through it. We know they called the Hunter laptop a distraction and said they would never cover it. We know in their Washington office there are 87 Democrats and 0 Republicans. We watched the hearing. We heard from Catherine Mayer, that affluent white female liberal who runs NPR. We know she's a radical leftist who hates Trump. They called her out. They exposed her. So they can continue to operate. They get donations. Lots of white liberals give them money. They can sell ads. If people want the product, let's see. Let them compete in the market. Why are we subsidizing them? I can't even believe I'm doing this again. I've said this 1,000 times. It makes no sense for them to take money from me and from you and give it to Catherine Mayer and give it to these radical leftists who hate Trump, who hate this country. We got enough of that. We see it on NBC and CBS and CNN. Why do we need another one that takes taxpayer money? It's outdated. It's antiquated. They told you 50, 60 years ago that kids needed, kids programming because there wasn't enough of it. There was only 3 networks. Well, now, not only are there hundreds of TV stations, there are 50,000 radio stations and 4,000 podcasts. Why do we need to give our money to this one? We don't. And why do we need to give money to Harvard? Can someone explain that? Why should Harvard be subsidized by taxpayers? Harvard has a $53 billion endowment. This from Trump. What time did he post this? 6 a.m. 6 a.m. This was after his speech at Alabama, and we'll get to my favorite line. Trump posted this morning. We're going to be taking away Harvard's tax-exempt status. It's what they deserve. Amen again. Why should we give money to Harvard? Why should we give money to these indoctrination factories, these places, where these anti-Semites, these places who base everything on, who discriminate based on race, sex, who discriminate against white men, Asian men, women. We're done with that. You want to do that? Do it on your own dime. You can afford it. Again, we're going to hear, we'll hear from liberals and Democrats and media people saying, oh, people will die. They're doing vital medical research. Well, sure, go for it. Do all the vital medical research. You can afford it. You have the money. You charge these kids to indoctrinate them, to brainwash them. You charge them $70,000, $80,000 a year. You have a massive endowment. You can pay for it yourself. I hope this happens. God knows a judge will stop it today. God knows Harvard will have a team of lawyers fighting for this. But of course, they'll have their palms out saying, we need taxpayer money. No, you don't. You don't. You never did. But we are done. Oh, do I have time? We got to get to the comments. We got to get to the comments and questions for me or for Ironhead. You have a question for Ironhead, chime in. But I love this. This is a great day. Let me check. Stock market is up 446. Jobs report was spectacular. We're not funding Sesame Street in Iraq anymore. We're exposing crimes. We're not funding Harvard. We're not funding NPR. This is a good day in Trump. Good day in America. Here's Trump last night at the University of Alabama, where he was in his element, man. He was just up there in his glory. They were loving it. This is the heartland of America. University of Alabama, Tuscaloosa. Trump giving a commencement address, and he gave a great line. He took credit for the line. I'm not sure who wrote the line, but it was a great shot at Harvard. Go ahead.
Graduates of the Alabama class of 2025 standing here before you in this magnificent arena, it is clear to see the next chapter of the American story will not be written by the Harvard Crimson. It will be written by you, the Crimson Tide. True. That's true. That's true.
Look at those smiles. They just loved it. These kids were elated to have the president there. It's not going to be written by the Crimson Tide. It's going to be written, by the Harvard Crimson, but by the Crimson Tide. Great line. All right. We got comments and questions, Ironhead? Ooh, we do.
Sure do.
What's happening with James O'Keefe? Good question. I saw his Facebook post. James O'Keefe from OMG, undercover journalist, a great journalist, is promising a big story coming in the next week. He said it is going to just shock the world. Can't wait. I'm not sure what it is, but it's going to be government corruption in some form. It's going to be some amazing undercover effort by his guys. Why are they so worried about this one guy? It makes me wonder. You're talking about Musk? I'll tell you why.
Kilmar.
And well, they made a mistake. They fell into a trap, is what they did. And they just keep digging. And I don't know how they're going to get out of it. I guess they're going to move on. They're going to say, it's not about one man. It's about due process. He had his due process. He was ordered deported. And now you could say he wasn't supposed to go to El Salvador. So what? It's his home country. Fine. If you want to, you know what? I think it'd be smart. I'll say it again. Trump should bring him back and then send him somewhere else. Then what do they say? What else we got? Judges fighting the expulsion of these criminals to get, I don't even know what that means. Where are the Democrat officials when illegals were burning the American flag? They claim they're here for America and we the people, but couldn't care less when they burned our flag and chanted, "Kill America." It's a great question. Well, Elon, you still have never heard a Democrat denounce the pro-Hamas crowds that march through our, New York City or march on campus. They don't denounce these people who hate our country and burn our flag. It is very telling. Nothing will change until there are public prosecutions. Very true. We need arrests. Why do judges have the right to tell us who we can or can't give our money to? It's a good question. Judges are trying to stop DOGE. Judges are trying to stop defunding NPR. Judges are trying to continue not spending money on Sesame Street or on alpacas in Peru, but on other Democrats. It's all part of one big scam. as a fellow resident of Mass, I asked the same question. When are Wu and Warren going to be voted out? Never. I mean, we're lost. Massachusetts is like California. We are lost. We have been captured by these woke lunatics who hate this country.
There was a comment on YouTube. I'll just say it's from Kay. They're wondering, essentially, could you name one bad thing about DOGE?
Yeah, well, I mean, these people, this is Jubal DeJames writes, they're cutting access to Social Security, make it difficult for the elderly and disabled. They are not. I mean, you can believe that if you want. You know, you're a Democrat. You can believe Liz Warren. She is lying. That's what they're doing. They're lying. Why? Because he's going to expose them. They're involved. They knew. They all knew how this scam worked. They knew the money wasn't going to Peru. They knew it was going to their friends in D.C. He even said it. He said Deloitte. It would go to Deloitte, an accounting firm, big accounting firm. And then who knows where it went? Did it go to Peru? No. If it did, it was 10%. The rest was stolen. Why can't we all get behind this? It's just maddening. Why can't we all agree that these brilliant guys are working for us? I mean, they're trying. We have $36 trillion in debt. We have $36 trillion in debt. We're going to continue to spend. I have no faith in Congress or the Senate to stop the spending. But we can stop the stealing if we just get behind this. Just crazy. Everyone agrees. There's so many here.
There was a lot today.
It costs the taxpayers $3 million every time Trump goes golfing. Yeah. So what? He's the president. Let him go golfing. $3 million. That's what you're worried about? We just told you that the Department of Education stole $4 billion in COVID funds. Does that bother you, David? Or are you just upset that Trump goes and plays golf on the weekends?
And he wins club championships, Dave.
Don't get me started on those. But yeah, he was good. You know what? He should go to these red states all the time. He went to Alabama and it was just electric. They just love it. Those are real Americans. Those are people who appreciate DOGE, who don't want to pay for NPR, who don't certainly want to pay for Harvard. There's a lot of them out there. They just don't get a voice in the mainstream media. You just don't hear from them. But those are the people who are absolutely loving what Trump's doing. And that's the majority. That's more than half the country. And today, for them, today is a great day. But we will leave it there for today and for this week. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Big numbers on Rumble, Ironhead. Kicking ass on Free Speech Rumble. I'm Gerry Callahan. This is The Callahan Show. And we will do it again Monday morning.
Who would be doing a better job as president? Guess who comes out on top? Within the margin of error, but comes out on top. This looks a lot like the election result, right? Trump 45%, 2 points ahead of Harris at 43%. 12% say they'd be doing about the same. But this is the key nugget here. It's not just about regretting that vote. It's literally saying who would be doing the better job right now. And Trump continues to score a higher percentage of the vote than Kamala Harris. This looks a heck of a lot like the election result. We have just seen this in polls.